All right, so we're diving deep today, and I think folks are going to find this one pretty unsettling.
Yeah, definitely not for the faint of heart, this one.
Nope. We're talking about The Wicker Man, the 1973 film.
Ah, a classic. A true classic.
Yeah, and we got all your notes, all your articles, really fascinating stuff, actually. And we're going to try to unpack it all here, get to that good stuff.
Absolutely. Dive right in.
So, okay, The Wicker Man. It's not your typical horror film, is it?
No, no, it's not all about jump scares and gore.
Right. It's more of a creeping dread, this feeling of unease that just builds and builds.
Exactly. It's psychological. It gets under your skin and just stays with you.
And it's interesting, we had these excerpts here talking about the making of the film, the plot itself, the themes, and everything just points to this unsettling, disturbing kind of experience.
Yeah, it really messes with your head. Like you think, oh, a movie from the 70s, how scary can it be? But this one, it earned its reputation. Cult classic for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I think part of that is the slow burn, right? Like it's a thriller almost disguised as a horror film.
Absolutely. It's deliberate the way the tension builds. It's not about cheap thrills, it's about atmosphere, it's about the character.
Right, right. And speaking of characters, we have to talk about Christopher Lee. I mean, come on. The man, the legend, Dracula himself. But he always said The Wicker Man was his best work.
He did, he did. And he was so passionate about the project, he actually waived his fee for the role.
Really? Wow, that's dedication.
Yeah, he truly believed in the film.
So, all right, let's set the stage. We're on Summer Isle, right? This remote Scottish island, beautiful but isolated.
Very isolated.
And we have Sergeant Neil Howie, a devout Christian police officer. He arrives on the island to investigate the disappearance of a young girl. But something is off from the moment he steps off the boat.
Oh, yeah, immediately you get this sense of unease. The islanders they're too cheerful, almost unnervingly so.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Like, they're not concerned about the missing child at all. It's this stark contrast between Howie's anxiety, his urgency, and their festive atmosphere. Just bizarre.
And that's where the horror starts to seep in.
Yeah.
It's not a monster jumping out, it's this unsettling feeling that something is deeply, deeply wrong.
Right. And as the film unfolds, we learn why. It turns out the Islanders practice a form of Celtic paganism. They have their own rituals, their own beliefs, maypole dances, fertility rituals, very different from Howie's world.
And that clash, that's the core of the film, isn't it? Christianity versus paganism, two completely different ways of seeing the world.
Absolutely. And the sources really dig into this. It's not about good versus evil. It's about these fundamental differences in belief systems and how those differences create this unbridgeable gap between Howie and the Islanders.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so terrifying. Howie, with his rigid faith, his strict moral code, he's totally unprepared for what he encounters. He's trying to apply his logic, his beliefs, to a situation that defies them. He's a fish out of water.
Right. And that leads us to another major theme, isolation. Howie is physically isolated on the island, of course. But his faith, his inability to understand or accept the Islanders' beliefs, it isolates him even further.
He sees their traditions as depraved, blasphemous even. He can't connect with them on any level, and that ultimately leads to his downfall.
And it's interesting because the film doesn't shy away from depicting the downsides of both sides. It shows how Howie's rigid faith blinds him to the reality of the situation, but it also shows the darker aspects of the Islanders' paganism, their rituals.
It's a reminder that blind faith, no matter what you believe in, can have terrifying consequences. It's a powerful message.
It really is. And let's not forget the film's low budget. It actually adds to the atmosphere.
Oh, absolutely. The costumes, the sets, the lighting, it all feels very raw, very authentic.
And kind of unsettling, right? Like you're really transported to this strange, otherworldly place.
Yeah.
It's a great example of how limitations can breed creativity.
Yeah, it's a masterclass in suspense building. The horror unfolds so gradually through these strange rituals, the unsettling songs, those cryptic conversations. It gets under your skin.
And then that ending. I mean, wow. We won't spoil it, but it's one of those iconic, disturbing endings in horror cinema. It stays with you. It makes you think.
It definitely makes you question things.
So for those of you listening who've seen the film, here's something to think about. Could Howie have escaped his fate if he had been more open-minded, if he had tried to understand the Islanders' beliefs? Or was he doomed from the moment he set foot on Summer Isle?
That's a tough one.
It is, isn't it? It's a question worth pondering. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been, well, let's just say it's been a trip.
Yeah, a memorable one.